Originally when Aptos, like hit mainnet, we obviously needed a way for people to be able to access the blockchain. So the most simple version of that was we were providing APIs to the Aptos full node and the Aptos indexer. And this was just done on a per IP like rate limiting way. But, over time, this became like, a bit inundated, by a good problem, right? Our ecosystem was growing. We had more and more users. Like the system was starting to come under a pretty significant amount of load. And that's kind of how we created the precursor of Aptos Build, which was the API gateway. So it used to be called that. And so after we did that, we realized that, hey, actually, there was a real need in the ecosystem for infra abstraction, meaning like from just like talking to a lot of developers, we found that devs really care about creating good user experiences for their users. Infra, in some ways, is a bit of a necessary evil, where you need to have good infra to have that good user experience. But good infra is not necessarily, the passion project, so to speak, of those developers, right? They much rather care about their users and create those great user experiences. So we thought, like, what if we can make building as easy as possible? Meaning we can make infra as easy as possible and enable as much of an infra abstraction so that, folks, when they want to build a dApp, they're not thinking about how many, servers to provision and things like that, right? They can just like, hey, here's an API key. Here's how you can safely manage your API access, monitor your usage, have the ability to trust that this is production grade infra, and then just like focus on building for your users. So that was kind of like the genesis story, right? And obviously we started fairly simply with the sort of API keys, and then through like just discussing with devs, we found out that, hey, people care about no code indexing, because the uniqueness of Move means that like folks really benefit from a custom processor for their custom smart contracts, but it's not easy to spin up a custom processor. Again, there's a lot of infra involved. So we're like, hey, what if we can do it such that someone can spin up a custom processor with zero code, right? The ability to like, map it to a smart contract and be like, okay, here are the objects we care about. And then ta-da, you have a custom processor. Internally, it was super useful even for our internal teams, right? We used to have independent, sort of processors like being managed by separate teams. Like folks would have to kind of reach out to the processor team to get processors spun out. But with this, like whenever we create like sort of demo apps or experiences, I think it took less than 5 minutes now. So we've really reduced something that used to take like 2 to 3 hours or even more down to like a 5-minute process. And then a gas station came about because one of the biggest problems in Web3 is user onboarding. Like if you have a brand new Aptos account, like to even be able to sort of do your first transaction, you need some gas. Where do you get gas from? If I'm brand new to Web3, I would have no idea. So I think like gas station allowed developers to create experiences that really just immediately onboard users who could be able to kind of interact with the app without any sort of like, thinking about gas and things like that. They can immediately start experiencing it and then kind of start their Web3 journey. And obviously, we are cooking up more and more tools and features to really like hone in on how can we enable developers to do like unique things in their apps, or to make, unpleasant things more easy in their apps, right? So then they can really focus on that user experience, and then they can find that, hey, building on Aptos is really, really easy.